Hello, Vivek.
Sir, hi.
How
Yeah, sir, sure. Hello, sir. Welcome to the Hindu. It's a pleasure to have you here.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for coming. Let me start off with this. So, basically, you're an actor who has never had a moniker or a title next to your name, right? You have been known as an actor, very dependable, irrespective of the roles. But after the Padma Awards, people started calling you Padma Bhushan Anant Nag. How does it feel like? Does it make any difference?
Well, I'm happy. I was happy when the Padma Award came. I was aware of it in the sense around 3-4 years ago, I think. Our Prime Minister, Mr. Modi, he kind of brought out a statement saying, henceforth the Padma Awards will be given as per public recommendations and all. He invited people to suggest names of people who are genuinely in the service of the nation in one way or the other, who did not have any expectations as such, but as a service they have rendered it to their states, to the country, and such people who have not got any recognition, but about whom people are aware. So the process started, and from Karnataka, the people, Kannada, they suggested my name, and for Padma Award. And after 1 year, after 2 years, after 3 years, I mean, our people felt that well, they have been suggesting my name, and I'm not getting it, kind of. But a lot of people did get very deserving people who earlier on wouldn't have ever got it, were getting the Padma Awards, and all people were all happy. And people were expressing impatience also, that well, we have recommended the name, but you have not been, I mean, you have not given it. 3 years were passed, and when it came, I was happy that, because I was feeling, kind of, they have recommended so much, and then they were getting restive, and then it came, and I was very happy, and on the one hand, I thank Mr. Modi to have started this process of public participation in Padma Awards. On the other hand, my people, I never thought that even they would be, suggesting my name in such a big way and so kind of tenaciously. That I've got it, I'm happy, they are happy. And I've already dedicated this award to the people of Karnataka, the state of Karnataka, uh, Kannada, Kannada film, Chitra Ranga, as we call it in Kannada. And that's it.
Now that you have won such a huge honor, let's go back and recollect your journey so far. So, your formative years in, say, Chitrapur Mutt and Anand Ashram, how has it helped you being, like, say, a disciplinarian, and has it kind of shaped you in some way to be the actor that you are today?
I never thought that I of becoming an actor at all. I mean, it had not even crossed my mind. I had grown up in spiritual centers, like that was where my parents served in it is in an ashram to begin with, where I spent first 6 years of my life. Swami Ramdas, Mataji, Krishna Bai, Anand Ashram it was called. And my father, Sadanand, my mother, Anandi, they were in the service of that ashram where I was born. I grew up. It's a different kind of an ashram where everything about our Sanatana Dharma or Shashvata Dharma, as it is called. And the motto was Nam Dhyan Seva, in the sense you take God's name and then meditate on it and then service. So I grew up in those environs, and there And right, but then there are a lot of music and bhajans and right from a young age, I knew how to, they gave me what is called tala, and I used to play that. Then my father used to sing also and play tabla also. My mother also would sing on the harmonium. I picked up tabla and harmonium and started singing Ram Nam and this and that. So 6 years of my life there, and then so, another Swamiji of this is by the name Swami Anandasru. This if this was South Dakshina Kannada, South Kannada as it was called. Then this mutt was in our Swami Anandashram was in the mutt in Chitrapur, Shirali. This was on the north Kannada near Bhatkara. So my father was somehow they were asked to come go over there, and they continued the service in the mutt. My so now first 6 years I spent here, next 6 years there, and as along with other children and all, I also studied whatever was taught in there. It was a very kind of very formal system of education in the Pathashala, and there were the system was of the Vedas and Vedopanishad and this and that, and I was like amongst other children. I was also taught uh, Ganapati Atharva Shirsha, Adi Shankara, Sadhana Panchakam, Rudra, Ekadasha Rudra. Therefore. Then there were Mantra Pushpanjali, Ashtavidhanas, and I was also taught the Bhagavad Gita. So I grew up that way. And then I had my schooling in Udupi, then Shirali, then Honavar. And I grew up like that. And in the school, some skits and all I did participate in, but there was, and then I would kind of do the mimicking as such and all. And people, I mean, we didn't have, except that we saw actors and play, in the sense, Yakshagana would be around all the time. And there would be Yakshagana, Bailata, it was called. That was very, very heavy costumes and colorful costumes, and then poetry, prose, and singing, dancing, and all those. They were all night shows. And see, I grew up seeing it both in South Kannada and North Kannada, that is Uttar Kannada, Dakshin Kannada. So I grew up that way, but we were all with wide eyes. I would also see them with it. The program would start only at around 11 in the night and go on till morning. So we would go with the mats and all, and then sit. And it was always happened in Maidans or Bailata. So I watched them, saw them happening and all. I used to imitate. Then my father told me never imitate anybody who is handicapped and all. Like in terms of blind or deaf or stammering, But anything that creates humor is okay. But never, not yet. So that was also held in check. So I studied up to 8th standard in Honavar. I was about 6 years here in the ashram, 6 years in the mutt. And my father decided I should be studying in Bombay. And I was sent to Bombay. And here, of course, I was studying in New English School, and we had kind of even in our, I must tell you that in Honavar, see, for instance, the medium of instruction was Kannada. But we had ECC in school, which was compulsory. Then we had Hindi also had been introduced, Prathama, Dvitiya, Visharada and all. We had that also we had to learn. And in the school, of course, schools. And then the mutt and ashram, this. But we kept shuttling between vacation and all between ashram and mutt and ashram, these schools, Udupi, Shirali, Honavar and this and that. But that was, the kind of so here I was, when I was sent to like in, say, our one day our physics teacher, and then from today I'm going to teach you physics, he said. And he spoke in Kannada, of course. And then he said, I will teach you. And he taught a lesson saying, I will teach you now. Have you heard that Shiva Parvati story of Ganesha and Subramanya? I'll come to that later. You will. That's the name of a film in which I acted later in life. Yeah. So he came and said, that's the Ganesha goes around there, sits there only, and his younger brother goes around. And then they say that the Ganesha has won and not the parents decide. The younger brother is upset. So you have the, do you know the story? And he would ask. And so most of us, some of them would ask, who knew, we would raise our hands and they said, okay. So for those who don't know, I will narrate the story. And he shortly, in short, narrated the story. And then that Ganesha is the centrifugal force. And what Shanmukha is doing going around is centripetal force. So this is the way physics begins. And this is the way and it was like a more of a story than then when I was sent to Bombay, I was in a, they put me directly in a convent. I studied in St. Xavier School there. In Honnavara, it was of course a new English school, but the medium of instruction was Kannada only. There it was all English, and although I knew these basic things, I mean, I fell back in studies. I used to be in the first five. There in Bombay, I was the last five. And I did my ninth, 10th, then at that time 11th was the SSC, not 10, right, like now. I finished my schooling, but I didn't know which line to take. I went for some time for arts and then into science, and there in college NCC was compulsory, and then on to, and like I was actually then my father, I was not really doing very well in studies as well as I was doing here. So, but my father was worried about me, and in the meanwhile, for the first time, uh, I met two people, personalities who happened to know my father and my mother, their background of ashram and mutt and all. Aren't you son of so and so, who is manager of the mutt now? And etc. Yes. Will you be interested in acting? And I said, I had not given a thought to it. And acting where? Yes. So we are staging a play, and we will come till I'll introduce him. The person who asked me that was a writer. His name was Prabhakar, Sri Prabhakar Mudur, was a playwright. And he was from Karnataka only, in Bombay. So in Bombay, we have the language in the coastal Karnataka, especially in our belt, was a spoken language is Konkani, but everything else is conducted in Kannada. So he is from our Karavali Karnataka. So I felt at least I have met someone from the same place anyway. So he said, we are staging a play. So what do you know about it? Have you acted in plays? I said, no, I have acted in skits and all, but will you be interested in playing? We are staging a play, and we have a body called Konkani Sahitya Samiti, Konkani Stagecraft, and then the Kannada Kala Kendra, where we stage plays in Konkani and Kannada. So we are doing a play on the life of Saint of Bengal, Chaitanya Prabhu. So there are 3 acts in the play, and then you'll have to learn. We'll give you rehearsals, and if you rehearse, I'm willing to try. If you think I can do it, I will. But I have never done it except in skits in school. So we'll try out. You give a trial, and then he introduced me to the director, Mr. Venkatrao Talgeri. He also happened to be from Karnataka. So they said, well, you can. Well, you're from the mutt. You said, what do you know? So I started reciting whatever I know. And they looked at each other. Yeah, your diction of Sanskrit is good, but why did you stop? She said. Then I lied. I have forgotten. So then they said, we'll start the rehearsals. And we started the rehearsals. That's how I started in my first play. And then second one was on Buddha. The second play, same combination. The second drama they took. And they would be holding it in Konkani and Kannada, both languages. And I was fluent in both. So then they chose Gautama Buddha. That was a historical, almost 3000 BC and also. And then they said, but here you'll have to learn more. In this first play, there used to be some bhajans kind of a thing, which I had learned in ashram. So to sing and a little bit of dancing, they say. Steps a little, not dancing as you see in films and all, but just movement of the body, shoulders, and feet. Kind of. In the second, they said, then they started saying, since you have, they found out. I on my own started reciting all those mantras, which I thought, because they started giving me such long passages, which I came to know are called monologues or soliloquies and all. Then I thought I must to recall, to learn these. Maybe if I can recall the mantras I had learnt in, I started reciting them, and then my diction improved, and that was reflected here. And they said, now in this play there will be a lot of kind of he will what is the teaching? What are the teachings of Buddha? So those kind of lectures you will have to kind of listen. So what you have to do is speed up in the second act and the third act. Your diction, you have to say it fast, and your memory has to be good, and you can't make a mistake. And on stage, you can't afford to make a mistake. There's only one chance. In the third act, it was all a lot of speech and monologues, and then but teaching the teachings of Buddha. I had to learn by heart and deliver. So these two, one was a mythological, one was a historical. The third one, they chose a social subject. And that was a very social kind of a subject, and it was based on. By then, Mr. Talgeri, who had acted in a film, the new wave movement had started in Karnataka, films. Samskara had happened, then Hamsa, Vamshavruksha. He played a role here in that of an old man, Shrotri or a kind of a. And he came back and he said, "You must meet so and so in Bangalore." But he had met S.L. Bhairappa here during the filming of that. So he had written a novel, Nai Neradu. So that he asked him, "Can I make this into a play?" He asked him, Mr. Venkatrao Talgeri. Says, "If you can want to, you can make it into a play." And he came back and gave the book to this writer, Mr. Mudur Prabhakar. And he viewed a 3-act play on this novel. The beauty of it is, in that there is a youngster, which I played again, and where he has a memory, he has memories of his past birth. These 3 plays kind of give me such a kind of a break in theatre that I thought I was on the verge of returning after to either ashram or mutt. Somewhere I'll let me get back because I'm not used to it. I'm not getting used to it. I didn't know which direction to go into and all that. And at which time I got this break. And people said, one play, 2 plays, 3 plays. And then people were concerned, relatives and elders. Your father has sent you for studying and you are into dramatics here. Wasting all that money and he toils there and you do this here, kind of a thing. And some others would come and say, no, don't have nurse ambitions of being an actor and all. It's not, why don't you take up a job? As you are going to college anyway, you take there are any number of banks. At that time, they were not nationalized. You get a job, students get vacation jobs. Through that, you go into a bank, take a bank job, and then to do whatever you want, kind of a. So promptly I tried that and I got a bank job, during vacations. It was in Union Bank of India, but they encouraged me in this, in plays and all that. So now my plans of going back were all, I haven't done. But people would say, look, don't be, let it not go to your head. Don't think you are already an actor, and if they call you to films and all, say no, not. Because there's lakhs of people are thinking they are going to become a hero, and then we have seen so many people's lives ruined and all. Don't nurse such ambitions. Do work in this as a hobby. You continue. But then I said it's better not to speak about it. But somewhere in the mind, I said that's a good profession. When I started, and I started in the Union Bank of India, I was the vacation job. Monthly salary was 600 rupees. So I said 600 rupees is per annum 7,200. Okay, well, let's see. And I concentrated on doing plays, and I started started reading other plays, and then I met other directors also. Like Satyadev Dubey in Bombay was a big. He taught under him. He put me through. He was a director. Then I learned other plays, and I would take a play and then adapt it into Kannada. I myself would produce it, direct it, act in it. So I did a number of plays from Marathi and other languages into Kannada. I did a play in English also, which was called, which is a very famous play. They have done a film also on it. Sleuth was the film. There are only two characters in the film. There was one actor who was also very well built and taller and well built, better built than me. But he was, so we two kind of came together and staged that play. So I would adapt it, I would produce it, I would direct it and act this way. For about 5 6 years, about 50 55 plays I acted in. And knowing and I was always looking for a different kind of variety. So wherever I was called, I would go and do. And that not always the main role, but different kinds of roles I kept on doing. One of the plays, of course, was Yayati by Girish Karnad, where I played the Puru's role. So Kannada, basically Kannada. Then a couple of Hindi plays, couple of Marathi plays, and all I did. But then there were different new kind of plays also. This was orthodox conventional plays, if you called it. There were modern plays like Adhe Adhure or Steel Frame and such other kind of films written by Rakesh Mohan and Deepak Gupta, I think. Modern plays, and there were other writers in other languages, and I mean, it's not any kind of a pond anymore. It was not even a river. It was the sea. And after 5.5 years, I got a. But what happened is that I learned to Satyadev Dubey and all these, in particular, and in general, all other playwrights and all. My diction became clear because of my Sanskrit education in Mutt and the bhajans I sang in ashram and all. My speech was very clear, and I could kind of project my voice also well. All this I was taught by some 5 6 other directors also. Like one was Amol Palekar also was with him. Then R.D. Kamath and Manjunath Prabhu from Ankola, the K.K. Suvarna from Mangalore. And now, of course, our Venkatrao Talgeri and Prabhakar Mudu. And my own plays, which my groups, my other colleagues and all we stage. So that experience, and I got my first film offer from Kannada, and which was Sankalpa. At that time, YNK, YN Krishnamurthy also, and G.V. Iyer and Girish Karnad were the people responsible for getting me my first film. It was made by from Mysore. He was actually Hindi scholar. Nanjaraj Aras, he was the kind of director of that play. But these three were at the back: YNK, Girish, and G.V. Iyer. And I got a break into that. And when I went back, immediately that somehow Shyam Benegal was doing his first feature film. He was into ads. And Satyadev Dubey took me to Shyam Benegal. And I did a series of films with Shyam Benegal.
So your father wanted you to pursue academics, whereas you excelled in theatre. I somewhere feel you had a point to prove. And I also had read that you were a rebel inside.
I was in no state to be a rebel. So in fact, that time I heard a song in Bombay. Then it was in Marathi. So I asked them, what is the meaning of that song? And a very famous singer from Marathi at that time. Like in Hindi films and all, I used to, Mohammad Rafi was this gentleman was Sudhir Padke. He was a music director also and a singer also. And one particular tune I liked, and I said, and he sang that, and I asked, what is the meaning of this? So the line was, पराधीन आहे जगसी पुत्र मानवाचा दोषना कुणाचा. Meaning, man is not free. Paradhina, paradhina. Meaning almost that you are fated. You are destined. So you're not on your own in this. What you are is not what you are. You are what God has intended you to be, kind of thing. Paradhina is Putramana, a man's a human, or Putramana, son of man, is Paradhina. Is not very, it's kind of independent as such. It is no fault of others. Dosha nakula. It's nobody's fault. If I'm like this or if you're like that, it's nobody's fault because it's destined to be that way. That kind of a song. So I was no rebel. I was in no condition to be a rebel. But yet fate, destiny, whatever you call it, or God and Guru pushed me in that direction and I became an actor.
It's a fantastic answer, actually. So once you entered movies, in Hindi cinema, there were two kinds of narratives, right? Like in one side, you had Amitabh Bachchan's angry young man characters, kind of impressing people, and then on the other hand, Shyam Benegal pioneered a new wave. Like he spoke about the marginalized people in a very silent, minimalistic way. So how do you kind of describe that era?
No, those kind of, those were, well, let's call it that, they were called that way. Like those films in Hindi were called commercial films. And they happened in all languages, including here also in Karnataka. There were commercial films. And the new wave, they called it. Like I mentioned, Samskara, Vamshavruksha, then our own Sankalpa. There, Satyajit Ray, Mrunal Sen, and Ritik Ghatak, and they had begun that kind of a movement. And Sham did his film, and there were from the Adur Gopal Krishnan and others in Malayalam. This kind of a was. But Sham insisted that he wants to do it only in Hindi. He didn't want to go regional. Although he also hails from Karnataka, his ancestors, he grew up in Hyderabad. But he had no intentions of going there and do it because regional becomes, I should do be in the mainstream. My films should be, even if they are new wave or modern films, they should be in the Hindi language. That's how he wanted it, and that's what he stuck to and successfully did it. So I got it into Ankur, Nishant, Manthan, and all. And because of my work with scripts and all, which I had adapted and things. One thing that happened in Ankur was he wanted a title, like seedling. He wanted it. He wrote it in English. I want the word in Hindi, and nobody could bring it. Then I was thinking. I thought I knew it, but I dared not open my. But that was not just my first film in Hindi. Then one day, Sham, then I told him quietly, you have been asking, but nobody has given an answer. But I have the answer, I think. And I told him in seedling, the word should be Ankur. Ankur means seedling. Is it? How do you know? I don't know. It just struck me. I said, okay. Then I'll just check up and then he had announced the price of 1,000 rupees for that, for that title. And nobody else had given. And then he referred to some experts and whoever. And they said, yes, that is how do you know so much Sanskrit? Then I told him I was in the mud and all. So then then he would ask me for suggestions. I did 6 films with him, especially in a film called Kondura. And yes, and Anugraham, that was done in Telugu also. But most of the films I acted in were only in the first 15, 20 films were all in the new wave.
Did the new wave in any way help your style of acting, be it the roles that you did or even the stories that you featured in?
I did not, in the sense, I used to watch all films. By then, I had not seen many films. As a kid, also before I was sent to Bombay, I'd seen films. A couple of Hindi films in Bhatkal, in Honavar, in Kannada. Ratnagiri Rahasya was the first film, and where the Rajkumar, Kalyan Kumar, Uday Kumar, and our great Narsimha Raju comedy. That film I had seen. And in Hindi, Bhagyavan, Jhanak Jhanak, Payal Baje, and some films like that. But I was not so conscious or about. I did not think in that direction at all till that time. So I had but as such inclination to. But then when I saw films and all wherever I thought they were all little overdoing, overacting. Even in my plays and all, sometimes they would say, but the director would say, no, even Satyadev would say, now don't do as I am doing, right? I'm just showing you so that you should learn. Do it your way, not my way. I do it this way. But you don't have to do it that way. So that I took from that. I saw that I saw some overacting most of the time in different characters in Hindi films and other exaggerated. But when I saw some English films and all, I thought they were so natural and historical films like Beckett, then Ben-Hur, and everything, and then films of Marlon Brando, which were so very so, and then all of those heroes I had seen. But that was something very different from our culture and all. Yet, acting wise, I thought that they were very natural. They were not. It was not a put on or kind of a thing or overly done. And also, I started taking that track. That why can't one be natural? I mean, whatever they say is behaving. Acting should be behaving like, not acting deliberately as such, which is overly done, overdone. And so I just started on my. Nobody encouraged me to do it. Nobody discouraged me or dissuaded me not to do it. So that style kind of was different from the audience point of view. And then so in the beginning there were some, and then that some became many, and then they say I started appreciating my. And here, of course, even when I came into films also, there were others. So why don't you? They did. There was some pressure also. You no. Your acting is what we call here. It is called Bengali acting.
This was when you came back to Kannada.
No, I was doing there also acting also, because with Shyam Benegal I did so many films. Then I did one film in Gehrai and another Hindi. With MS Satya, when I had done Ankur Satyu, asked me to meet him. And I met him in Bombay. Then that film Kanneshwar Rama, his first. Then Bara I have done with him. Then Antim Raja was another last on Chikavir Rajendra. So those all were art films only. There was those commercial films as such that I had not yet gone into. But income-wise, I found that then there was the money, of course, situation from 7,200 per year increased, but the real money lay in doing commercial film, what sells and things, and that did bring in money. But there, my style would be different. That also I was aware. Because I mean, if I am asked to, and I was, when I'm first, second, third, fourth films, they did ask me. They kind of said that you are kind of acting. I don't know whether people will understand also. I don't know. We can't. We don't know. I mean, if I ask you to say, we say camera action, and then you do it, and then we say cut. But then, have you done it? Yeah, I have done it. We couldn't see anything. We'll do it. I mean, it's a slap in your face. Yeah. But they are seniors, elders, and you have to take it. I said, that's all I can do. Well, if you don't like my style of acting, you put a rush print, you take out rush print, see if it is not sufficient, then of course I am not able to give what you want to say. I'll go back. You can cast someone else. So that's the way. But I was firm that I will not overdo. I will not take to any other style of it just because they have to be done. And in English films also there were very natural actors. So there was, in historicals and mythologicals, you have to overdo. Yeah, the genre is like when I did Narada Vijaya. Vijaya is a social today. He is a CID officer. Yeah. Narada is a mythological. There has to be a contrast. So that has to be done in a different style. I had to do. Then there were inbuilt roles like in Naninna Bidalare. One is a very sober, very good looking, okay fellow. Otherwise, he's a devil. There is a devil in him, the other character. So those contrasts were also seen by the public, appreciated. And inch by inch, I progressed on, you can see. If you win awards, there are other people who go to court and bring a stay order. Himadri Sute Pahima Bare Anta, when you say, people start, I mean, that way of saying, you can Bare, ಬಾರೆ ಸಪ್ತ ಸಾಗರದಾಚೆ ಎಲ್ಲೋ ಸುಪ್ತ ಸಾಗರ ಕಾದಿದೆ, ಮೊಳೆಯ ದಲೆಗಳ ಮೂಕ ಮರ್ಮರ ಅಂತೂ ಇಲ್ಲಿಗೆ ಹಾಯಿದೆ.